365 days have passed. I cannot believe it has been 1 year since I started my job in the newborn nursery. It has been a roller coaster of emotions. There's a lot I wish I would have known coming into this job a year ago, but you know, we live and we learn. Hello everyone, my name is Kristen and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am a registered nurse. I work in the newborn nursery on the labor and delivery unit, and it has been 1 whole year since I've started my newborn nursery job. I'm just here to talk about how my 1 year experience has gone so far. So if you are wondering what my life has been like this past year, just go ahead and keep watching.
The colors come and go so fast.
So every reflection that I've done so far, I've actually broken up into different sections. So I will put the timestamps down below so you can go ahead and skip around if you would like. I started my job in the newborn nursery on July 26, 2021. Let me tell you, hospital orientation was a little bit confusing, and I wish my hospital would change their orientation because it's still the same. It's online orientation. I feel like I was still so lost after my second week of hospital orientation. I only had 1 week of day shift orientation for my unit, and then the rest of my unit orientation was on night shift. I felt like I was thrown in to my unit on day shift. We were in a record high. We had over 600 deliveries within the first couple months that I was orienting. There were just so many deliveries back to back. There were so many emergencies. You know, everyone was telling me, oh, you're so lucky you're seeing all this because normally on orientation you don't get to see this. It was so much. I didn't even get a chance to process it. So when these things came back up later on, I still felt like I had never seen it and I had so many questions. I truly did like my day shift preceptor. I thought she was so knowledgeable and I really did enjoy working with her. So when I switched to nights, I was a little sad because I obviously wasn't working with that day shift crew anymore. And when I did switch to nights, it was a whole new ball and chain that I had to deal with, and that was adjusting to night shift. To talk about the positives, my preceptor on nights was an absolute sweetheart. I enjoyed her. She was so motivating. She was just so caring, and she was so relatable. Like, I felt like I could tell her anything. And I don't know how long y'all have been following my journey for. Right before I started this job, almost 2 months prior, I had gone through a completely life-changing event when it comes to like sexual harassment and sexual assault. There were multiple times where I wanted to break down at work because I did not know how to handle this type of situation. And I don't know, it was something my preceptor had said. And I remember talking to her and I just like broke down and I talked about what happened. The fact that I could relate to somebody so much, and I just felt like I was in such good hands, and I felt like I didn't have to be so stressed at work anymore because I was learning how to be a nurse, learning how to follow the rules and regulations when it comes to newborn babies, learning how to resuscitate a baby, and just learning how to get acclimated to a new unit on top of dealing with all the emotional stress from what I was dealing outside of work. I just felt like I could literally talk to her about anything, and she was so helpful. I was with her for almost 6 weeks, and she couldn't have been a better preceptor for me because of just her personality, who she was. She was so uplifting and motivating, and she just got me through it. And you know, she was always wondering how I was, how the situation was going, and if it wasn't for her, I probably honestly wouldn't have gotten through that new grad period. Right after September 15th, I finished my orientation. I was so excited to be off orientation, but there were a few things when it comes to being off orientation that I felt like, well, one, there were things that I never saw on orientation, so I had no idea what to do in certain circumstances. And there are still things to this day that I don't know how to do because I've never seen it, because it's just not something that we treat on my unit. And of course, on postpartum, they see more of these issues. I only see these babies for up to 2-3 hours of life, and when a baby goes to postpartum, a lot more of these issues occur. There were things I never saw on orientation, and then I was having to deal with the challenge of night shift. I am not a night person. I am not a night owl. I never have been. I'm such a day person. I like to wake up at 6 or 7 every day, and then I like to go to bed around 9 or 10. This is always how I've been. I don't like to pull all-nighters. Even when I was studying in undergrad and nursing school, I was really having to learn how to readjust. I was constantly drinking caffeine, whether or not that was matcha, chai tea, Alani News. I tried Celsius drinks. They were causing me to have heart palpitations, and I was really just trying anything and everything to keep me awake at night, because if not, the moment I sat down at my desk, I was going to fall asleep. That is unfortunately how the situation was. I realized just throughout the year, I was starting to get dragged down. I was starting to get sick more often. I was starting to gain weight. My circadian rhythm was completely changed. My digestive system was out of whack. I was not used to eating at night, so I would go like almost a full 12-hour shift without eating something. Honestly, I did feel sad to be going to work every day because I absolutely did not like night shift. I know some people thrive on nights, and I've been told, oh, I would never go to day shift, and that is great for the people that love night shift. You know, that's great. You guys get that differential. If I could do it, I would. I felt like during this time, I definitely had more of a negative attitude because I felt like I was going to a job that I didn't necessarily love anymore. I wasn't seeing the positives in the job that I did have, and I was getting really, really sick. And there were things that were said like incompetent, having a lack of time management skills. And those are not things that you necessarily say to somebody, especially when they are learning how to be a nurse and just learning how to time manage. So sometimes I felt like it was me just trying to put motivation within myself to go to work every day and knowing that I was doing it because I love working with the babies. So working with babies was my motivator to get through everything, and I did get through it. Eventually, I did talk to my manager about the possibility of switching to days and what that would look like. I am now working on day shift, so I did switch to days back in April. Wow, the pace of day shift was something that I did not expect. And my first week of day shift, I actually did my first blood culture. It took 9 months for me to actually do something as simple as a blood culture. Days, I felt like I was learning more, I was seeing more. So with that, I am going to transition into how I'm feeling. I did talk about in my last video for my August reset that I have been experiencing definitely more anxiety when it comes to work. And I feel like a lot of this anxiety is kind of revolved around me and my license. I feel like I am so worried about making a mistake at work. I don't want to get written up. I don't want to get fired. I've been kind of putting a lot of pressure on myself. I also know for me, I love walking into like a positive work environment. I'm definitely very introverted. And so I feel like sometimes when I have an environment around me that can be very draining, I just don't really thrive very well in that environment. I have to be positive going into my job, sometimes with it just being catty, and I try my best, like I said, to stay out of things and kind of sit in the corner just so I don't get drained by this. One thing that I do really miss about nights are the new grad nurses on L&D that I used to work with. I felt like I loved hanging out with them because they could just relate to what I was going through, and I felt like I made really good friendship connections with most of them. So sometimes I feel like when it comes to work, I just talk about work, so I don't necessarily talk a lot about my personal life when I'm at work. I also do feel like as time went on, it has been harder for me to ask questions or get help just because we're so busy. So I definitely do feel like sometimes it's hard for me to ask for help, and you know, you should never be in that situation where it's hard for you to ask for help. You should always ask for help, and that's my biggest tip. Anytime you need help, ask for it, because you do not want to do anything that compromises your license. And if you don't know how to do something, you're not going to do it unless you get the help that you need to be able to move forward. But thankfully, I am emotionally and mentally doing so much better. I have gotten sick recently, so other than me just trying to keep my immune system up, I have obviously been sleeping a lot better, and I think day shift was the right move for me. And I know going forward with whatever job comes up next, I definitely want to stick to a day schedule. Hopefully, I have been feeling more confident when it comes to my nursing skills and the everyday things that I do. So I feel like I am getting more comfortable of now when it comes to my nurse residency program. I know I've talked about this before. My nurse residency program wasn't a typical classroom setting. It was just a 2-hour big group meeting where we talked about how to be a nurse, how to budget as a nurse, how to eat healthy, how to take care of yourself, how to advocate for yourself. Then we would go and break off into another 2-hour meeting with a small group, and we had people that were within our same divisions. In my opinion, I felt like I gained a lot of knowledge when it came to bettering myself and how to be a good shift worker, and of course how to budget, how to stay organized, and really just how to better myself. But I really wish we talked more about classroom stuff when it came to my job specifically, like I said, because there are still things that I don't know how to do. But I did enjoy my small groups. I feel like I really benefited from listening to everybody's story. We did work on an evidence-based practice project, and we ended up doing skin to skin and how that affects a baby's temperature. We finished that and we are done. But when it comes to a new grad nurse residency program, I think whenever you're picking yours, it's really important to find a program that has a combination of both. Talking about the work that you're doing and teaching you stuff in the classroom, but also talking about how to better yourself as a nurse and how to focus on your mental health and just your overall health. I think the balance of the two is very, very important. The last section I want to talk about is the advice I would give to any new nurse who is just starting out as a fresh new grad nurse. Don't be so hard on yourself because you are here to learn. You are probably going to be thrown into something that is completely different than what was in nursing school. It is a lot of on-the-job training, and do not be so hard on yourself. Ask those questions. Don't hesitate to ask. Don't feel like you can't ask. When you are interviewing, ask those questions about how the work environment is. Use your intuition and really make sure that when you choose a work environment, it is a healthy place. And just know that it takes time to learn these new things. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself a little bit of time. And I definitely feel like one thing that I've learned is to not let people take advantage of me and walk all over me. I learned how to stick up for myself a little bit. I used to be that person that would just let people run all over me, and that would not fly. Don't ever forget that you are your number one priority and you come first no matter what. Please do not forget that. And don't let anyone take advantage of you or walk all over you. Love yourself for who you are and put yourself first always. There is a storm outside that is brewing, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this video right here. So I hope that you enjoyed sitting down with me and listening to how my last year has gone as a new grad nurse. Definitely it has been an emotional roller coaster, and I have learned a lot. I have seen a lot. I've gained some confidence. I'm not the same person I was when I started as a new nurse last year. That is the name of the game. So I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and watching this video. And of course, leave any comment suggestions or anything you have down below in the comment section. And I always just want to wish you luck on your nursing journey.